Are you tired of your days being ruined by triggering feelings, where your mind is overrun by intense emotions you just can't let go of? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you the messages behind your emotions so you can listen, let go, and loosen the grip your emotions have over you. Hi, I'm David, and I help people stuck below their potential achieve self-mastery so that they can live out a life of purpose. If you're new to Moksha Life, welcome. If you're interested in learning the mindsets and practices that helped me move from a mediocre, repressed life to one of vitality and purpose, please hit the subscribe button and follow me on this journey. All right, so why am I even talking about the messages behind your emotions? What does this have to do with anything? So for years in my own personal development journey, I was hiding behind this wall of rationalism. I was focused on physical health, supplementation, biohacking, etc. I was really ignoring a lot of my unprocessed emotions. I even had this kind of persona or this reputation of being this cold, rationalistic, emotionless person. The truth was that I have very heightened emotional awareness. I've now turned that into my strength. But when these emotions went unprocessed, it manifested in very destructive ways and ultimately hurt my physical health. So in today's video, we're going to discuss the reasons you should start listening to your emotions and what are the messages behind each emotion so you could take meaningful action and avoid this destructive path. So here's a few reasons why listening to your emotions can be the key to mastering your life. Listening to your emotions can help you uncover your needs, wants, and beliefs. There are powerful signals that go beyond language that help you uncover self-knowledge that is simply not possible or will take a much longer time just using the rational mind. Limiting beliefs. So your emotions help you uncover. They are clues to your limiting beliefs. And then more importantly, they're an opportunity to rewire these limiting beliefs because they're part of the reason you're not getting the results that you want in your life. And lastly, this is probably the most difficult pill to swallow for you rationally minded folks, is that your emotions are in the driver's seat. This one was one that I resisted for a long time. And just because you choose not to pay attention to the messages behind your emotions doesn't mean that they still don't control you. So when you don't listen to your emotions, you start acting out unconsciously to get your needs met or to just numb out. Some common ways that we unconsciously act out on our emotions include gossiping, neurotically reading news, alcohol abuse, substance abuse, codependent relationships, narcissism, sometimes infidelity, so cheating on your partner, pornography, shopping addictions, having a toxic relationship to food, compulsive exercises, and many, many more. This is a huge topic, especially around the soft addictions, so those addictions that are sanctioned by our society. That's a topic for another video, but you get the idea. So what's an emotion to begin with? A definition that's been really helpful for me is an emotion is a matrix of feelings that communicates an important truth about our experience and what we should do next. So there's two parts of the emotions. So the first part is simply that important truth that's arising. Even if our rational mind doesn't have access to it, it's coming up for us in our body, right? And the second part is it's really guiding us. It's sort of an internal guidance system of what action we should take, what need we need to fulfill. So for example, we would describe a label such as anger. And this is basically a label to describe a collection of sensations in the body and in the mind. So it's a felt experience kind of in the body. We all know what getting pissed off feels like. And then there's obviously kind of a headspace where our mind takes the shape of anger almost for that period of time where we're activated. And this, these emotions actually a lot of times short circuit the rational mind. So they happen before the rational mind can intervene. So we often think of rationality and logic as being above emotions, but in fact, emotions are extraordinarily sophisticated. They happen in a split second and they're quite essential for our survival. So I'll give you an example. So if a tiger were to walk into a room, your pupils would dilate. You would immediately have a fight or flight response. You would either prepare to fight or you would just try and run away. And you wouldn't. But what if you use the rational mind to interact with the situation? You would examine the tiger. You would contemplate on what you should do. However, with our emotions, we are immediately drawn into action intuitively. And so this is a very, very powerful mechanism, very sophisticated. However, with our upbringing and our cultural conditioning, we start to see threats in the wrong areas, and this could be highly toxic. And the rational mind, unfortunately, usually can't remedy this problem because it's built into us at a few layers deeper than the rational mind has access to, which is why, despite your best efforts and intentions, you often can't change your behavior and change your emotions without working with them directly. Anxiety. So you can't really talk about modern life and our emotional experience without addressing anxiety. And so with anxiety, this is a wake-up call to stop living in the past and stop being fearful of the future, and really kind of ground yourself in the present moment. Some of the key reflections around anxiety are, what is within my control? What is not within my control? What is something that is within my control that I haven't taken action on just yet? This might be setting a boundary. This might be, time blocking some time in your calendar to address a problem that maybe arose, but you can't address that problem right now. You might want to time block that so that you've taken that action. It's no longer residing in your body or your mind. And really, what I have found, especially for that type of really icky anxiety that takes over your day and you can't let go of, is the Sedona method. So Sedona method is really helps us ask a few powerful questions that sort of strangely help release that feeling of anxiety that you just can't let go of from the body. So there's a link in the description below to some resources about the Sedona method. Hey, are you getting value from this content? If so, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more videos just like this one. All right, back to the episode. Anger communicates an unmet need that we have. It also prevents us from being violated, which is why it's such a powerful, mobilizing emotion. It's one that makes its presence felt immediately, and it can be really powerful to driving us towards really positive outcomes. However, we all know people that just get overly identified with anger, and we've definitely all been there ourselves. And the challenge with anger is not letting it color your moment-to-moment existence, not letting it color your whole day or being overly identified with it. The powerful message of anger is to really identify that unmet need. So as soon as that anger kind of comes up, you want to reflect and see, okay, well, what unmet need do I have? Where do I feel unseen, unheard, and what boundary may have been crossed? What action can I take in order to have this need met? And so usually behind anger, there's grief or sadness or something else that is kind of lurking beneath the surface of that initially powerful response. And also with others, you want to recognize that maybe they're outwardly angry at you or angry at something, but beneath that there's actually something soft, something really vulnerable that hasn't been expressed. Sadness. So we live in a society that is very anti-sadness in many ways. So oftentimes if somebody is crying or they say, oh, I feel sad, we're often told, oh, don't be sad or don't cry. And we should actually be doing the opposite. So sadness is an invitation to turn inwards, especially in a society that's so externally oriented. It's trying to tell us to turn inwards, lean in, slow down. And sadness is helping us connect with what we value most in our life, oftentimes through an event that is painful or a loss that we may have had. It also can be a connection of joy, of nostalgia, and it's a strong indicator of maybe what we might want more of in our life, what really is the juice of our life, what makes life worth living for us. It's also an invitation to ask for support. It's really a time of inaction, of sadness, of kind of the shape of sadness is kind of down. And so how can you reach out and be in that vulnerable place with others? So it could be a friend, could even be with yourself, just having more alone time to process if that's more comfortable. But if you think about a child, when they cry, it's an invitation for support. So how can we really reach out and get that support for ourselves? Fear Fear's message is that we feel unsafe in some way, shape, or form. And fear is very interesting because it's the most accurate indicator of where our limiting beliefs lie. And so just as a recap, limiting beliefs are beliefs that we hold about ourselves, others, and reality that are usually originated in childhood that are holding us back in life. And so these beliefs may have served us in a different point in our life, but now they're actually a blocker to subsequent personal growth. And so with fear, we're really kind of uncovering what are our perceived threats, right? So, and what you perceive as threatening is going to differ depending on what you believe about yourself, others, and the world. Especially nowadays, most of our fears, like financial fears or fear of failure, fear of not being enough, fear of not being loved, fear of not belonging, these are not life or death situations typically. So really pay attention to your fear. And in particular, I would reflect on where do you feel fear in your body? Is it tension in your gut? Is it tension in your face, the jaw? Do you have an elevated heart rate? So what does the sensation of fear feel like? And that's a really interesting way to start to observe it. And then also, what is the story behind the fear? So specifically ask yourself, what do I have to believe in order for this to be threatening? Okay, we're going to take a quick break from all these quote-unquote bad emotions and just talk about happiness for a second. And the message behind happiness is it's really a strong indication of what you value most in life. So pay attention to that happiness. Where are you feeling joy? And how are some ways that you can invite more of that into your life on a regular basis? So this is kind of the opposite of maybe the other emotions are indications of things you need to subtract or ways that you need to transcend or grow. Happiness is really an invitation. Let's invite more of this into our lives. The message behind resentment is that you're living in the past in some way, shape, or form, that you're holding on to something that no longer serves you. And it's also telling you that you need to forgive in order to find some more freedom so that you can finally live with ease. There's a quote from Tara Brach that really resonates with me, which is, "Vengeance is a lazy form of grief." A lot of times this invitation to forgive can be really triggering because forgiveness can often entail or make it seem like we're condoning or we're approving of what was done to us. But in fact, it's the opposite that's been true. So the reflecting questions for resentment are, who or what do I need to forgive in order to let go of this resentment? Am I truly open in this moment to letting go of this resentment? What do I fear will happen if I let go of this resentment and forgive? And lastly, what do I gain from holding on to this resentment? What do I think I'm actually gaining from being resentful towards this situation or this person? Shame is an indication that you've internalized other people's beliefs about who you should be and how you should show up in the world. It's an invitation to reconnect with yourself, ground yourself in your own internal compass. It's a great opportunity to start exploring things like life purpose work, visioning, and having a strong internal compass so that you're much more resilient to falling back into shame due to criticism, other people's criticism. A lot of times fear of failure and fear of ridicule is grounded in shame, and this is what really blocks us from moving forward with our dream careers or with making bold moves, is feeling shame from others because we've internalized this specific way of being. So the reflecting questions for shame are going to be, what have I internalized about myself or how my life should be like based on other people's opinions? And what story or what has to be true in order for me to be crippled by the opinions of others? So what about my internal psyche, what insecurity, what story that I even tell myself must be true for me to actually fall into shame as a result of the opinions of others? Moving through shame is a particularly difficult one for people pleasers, people that like I am or I'm still working through, are conflict avoidant, and people who like to kind of keep the peace. This is a really challenging one in particular. So in the future, I'll release more content on how to work with shame because I think it's a notably difficult one that not enough people work with. All right, so we just went over the messages behind some of our most common emotions. And overall, just every time you are in the grips of an emotion, you get a charge of some kind, take this as an opportunity to understand the messages behind your emotions. Start to ask, okay, what is the message behind this language of emotions? What is it trying to tell me? And then additionally, what do I have to believe in order for this to affect me the way that it does? If you're in a particularly powerful charge, you're about to fall into some of those unconscious processing behaviors that I mentioned earlier. So you're going to reach for your phone, you're going to reach for food, you're going to go compulsively exercise, you're going to yell at someone. I recommend that you try the R.A.I.N meditation in the description below. This is a very powerful way to relate to those powerful emotions and be able to nourish and almost parent yourself in a very healing and nurturing way. And finally, if you got value from this video, please subscribe to Moksha Life for no BS personal development tips so you can master your mind, body, and emotions. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.